Hello again, everybody. So there's been a development, of course, in our station switches, and that is trying to figure out a way to get the chest carts to be able to use chest carts without them breaking. I've created a solution, and so has WW Walker. And one of the things that has come up, as I'm discussing with the vets, is that both of them have some shortcomings or some issues, basically some pros and cons. So what I've been doing for a while now is just testing both systems as they stand originally, and I've come up with a couple of changes for both of them. There are a couple issues that I want to demonstrate here so that we can figure out the best way around them. Of course, the goal is, as far as I have in mind, see, I love WW Walkers because it is just so simple, elegant, you know, all those kind of things. I just love it. But there is an issue that I'll show you that Neck pointed out, and I've been able to replicate here in Creative, that we may need to consider. I put a couple fixes on both of these, small fixes, just to try to optimize them as much as possible. And I'll show you those in a second, but for now what I want to do is just set up the test and show you how I've been testing these. I've been using 4 carts, 1 block apart from each other for both test tracks. The spacing of the rails basically is basically right where Neck had them in his original proposal world, which are approximately double the number that we have on the server right now. And I've just been filling each cart with a piece of something, in order to just make sure that they stay consistent. Also, I'm using a new headset and a new microphone. I don't do YouTube enough to get an actual voice recording one, so it's not the best, but I'm not sure how the sound is going to turn out. For whatever reason, the USB port that's just most convenient is also the noisiest I've noticed on my system, so I apologize for that, but, you know, I'm cheap like that, I guess. Alright, so unaided with 4 carts and 1 player behind it, this is what happens. I release on that switch right there, at least release my finger. Okay, so we get out. We notice with 4 carts this pushes over and 1 chest cart explodes onto the cactus. Let's try it with the other system. Alright, same thing. Pressing forward and let go. Okay, so we got 2 carts that survived. Empty cart and 2 chest carts went into the cactus. That's one of the scenarios that can happen. Okay. So when I was looking at these problems, neither of them, you know, were all that great when we started overloading the system. I made all these gold tracks too to just slam everything through, but it was pretty much the same result as we have here. What I did to fix some of these issues on the design that I made, basically I just added another rail here, and I added another rail here. This way you basically have all sorts of space for stopping power, and it adds up, right? So each cart basically makes it more difficult for the next cart to go forward. Also, if it gets pushed back, these 2 carts will make it so it doesn't get to the button. Right, so that's why I did it that way. In terms of fixing this issue right here, all I did was run some redstone down here to, I don't think I'm hurting anything, to this torch right here. Now, one of the things with WW Walker's design is that it is susceptible to the southwest rule, which means that they vary in terms of what they look like down here. We have to invert this sometimes, which can become a challenge, but as long as we just have to extend a little bit, like 1 block further this way, we could put a, you know, block with a torch, and then it feeds this, and then so on and so forth. But that was the only other thing that I saw. So let's see what happens now that I have these, ready to go. And I'll probably just edit the parts where I'm building the carts out from this point on. Okay, test 2 with the modifications. Same procedure. Forward and release. Now I'm stopped here on this track. This guy is going to be bouncing back and forth a little bit, but it really has no place to go, as you can see. None of the carts went through to get destroyed. We still have about half of a track left for that to work that way before it would want to start pushing. Alright, let's try it with modified WW. I'm getting country over here. Worldly Walker's design. Oh no. Okay, so that time at 4 carts, I got pushed back. I don't know, probably maybe indefinitely because of the speed I was going. Hitting these buttons would activate the rails, but it did stop. Okay. Now there's one other situation that can occur in this. Of course, I guess we could just continue extending this back, but notice the first time I did this, I actually only had one button towards the back here, and what was happening is it was just bouncing back all the time. So to try to fix that, I made sure if any cart's down here, it's going to make sure that this rail is switched. So it will just go this way, and it won't go any other direction. I'm going to try to replicate another issue that can come up. I'm just going to leave this the way that it is because it doesn't change after any other of the challenges that I throw at it. But there is a situation that can happen on this that is particularly a pain in the butt. And I have no idea how we could correct that without compromising another part. I'm going to try to replicate it for you guys. There it is. So this is the issue that Nick was talking about. A little loud. As you can see, we just keep right on scooting along. I'm not sure if there was track or if there was hills if I would just keep going through, but eventually we stopped. But you notice it did quite a bit of pushing. So that is the other issue that I'm running into on the more elegant design. So I guess what it comes down to is there's the risk when we go, if we go this direction, there's the risk that we could have some pushback going this way. If we use this, I don't think there's going to be a risk of them going into the cacti, but I could be wrong. There could be something where a switch reverses itself. If we do it this way, it wouldn't though. It would just basically be an AND gate. So I mean both sides would be feeding the same torch. It wouldn't make much of a difference. On this side, one of the issues is if we continue overloading it, maybe you could try that right now. If we continue overloading it, I'm sure we could get maybe enough carts where it would push eventually all the way into the cacti. So I'm going to try that really quick before we're done with this video. Alright, 10 carts in total. 10 chest carts, I should say. Alright, so yeah, when I really overload this with a bunch of carts, it will push carts through. It looks like I lost 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 down there. Yep, I lost 2 carts this way. Just to see what happens, let's overload the other side with 10 carts as well. Alright, 10 on the Worldly Walker design. Let's see what happens. Alright, I don't know if any were lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 looks like. 7, 8. Where'd the other 2 go? Well, this is fun. Let's see. 1, 2. Maybe they all got smushed together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so none lost when we overload the track, which is good, good, good. Still got these 2 doing their thing over here. So in overload terms, it looks like the issue on my design is that you will start pushing carts beyond this. This actually, I mean, this could go indefinitely, I suppose. You know, because once I, well, not indefinitely, but once I step on this plate, all the stuff goes into the droppers, right? So then this would just basically speed the person right along. These could go all the way up if we wanted to. On this design, it looks like the problem ends up being at backfeeding. So when we get back past basically 3 chest carts, it's going to start backfeeding. If we go along with it, it will backfeed us as well, is what I would bet. Only because, you know, by here we've got this incline, and you start hitting the chests, it will want to push you up and out. That would be the only issue, I think, on that, and it just it ends up pushing you back. So if somebody were to be distracted or AFK for a second, they would find themselves essentially going back through the track. They would be going the main line in reverse, basically. Alright, so that's what I came up with, that's what I see. I present this only as mainly as a matter of decision making. Which one do we want to use? One of the things I suggested is that we beta test both just to see what happens in real time on the real server, based on what people tend to use. I'm putting this the wrong way. Based on what people are actually doing with their chest carts. One of the things is this does make things slightly more complicated, because we can't just do it one block down now. We will have to dig, you know, at least one more down to get this redstone, but that's not too big of a deal. And the complication with the other one, as Roz reminded me, was that it is resource intensive because of all the hoppers, and that could also be a TPS issue. If it's done right, I don't think it will be, but the hoppers, the amount of iron needed, kind of, you know, has people in a panic. But hey, I created the Iron Tier Mark II for a good reason. But in terms of this, I still like World Lee Walker's design more, except for that one part where it would kick me back. That I think would annoy me. I would have my chest safe, but every time I'd want to, I can just imagine going through the 4 stations I have to get to my place, and then having to, you know, I get shot back this way, and then I have to jump out of the cart, and I have to run after my cart every time, grab it, and then push the chest cart back, and be very gingerly about that because it would push it back. In this case, if I'm doing that, the thing is, I know that I can't put more than, it seems, by the 5th cart or so, unless we do this all in powered rails right here. By the 5th cart or so, you know, it's going to go into the cacti. That would be the only issue. Alrighty, so there's my take on it. If there are any other solutions or proposals, please post them. Post them to the forum or make a video response. Those are always good. I would like this thing to be available for 60 giggers. I think it's a reasonable request, and I think there are ways that we can do this. Here's 2 of them, right? Everything comes with a risk, or a pro and a con. So yeah, all right. Thank you very much.